back everyone, it's the weekend again. Another episode of Steve's Place. If you haven't watched it before, Steve's Place Down Under. Today we're going to do a bit of work to the Chamberlain C670. It's already going, it won't be a first start even though it's been under the floodwater. So I've done a full day here 2 weeks ago recording, getting it in the shed, pulling the wheel off, freeing up the brake. For those of you who haven't seen when we picked it up, the wheel was locked up. Got it going, serviced the engine, changed all the filters. We've done a lot of work to it, rebuilt the starter because the floodwaters went high enough to cover that, so that was all corroded and wouldn't work, and it still doesn't to an extent. The solenoid's still not, it's throwing out but not crossing the contact. So Brian, if you're watching this, you got one in the shed, let me know, mate. It works when you cross it over. So we washed it, we pressure washed the machine, all the mould and everything off it and whatever, and went to edit it. Well, my partner was editing, went to edit it last week and found that the files or something, it won't access the files on that card. So there was a full day of working on this particular machine. There was a first start and there was all that other stuff I said. So if I can ever recover that footage, which I don't think we can, I will put it up. But so there's more work we can do today. But before I do that, a couple of shout outs that I gave in that last episode. These are mates that I've never met. I feel like I've known them for a long time, but I've never met them. One's in Queensland, one's in America. You get a lot of negativity when you're part of this internet stuff. People send me some shocking comments, and then you get some great ones, and then you get blokes that go out of their way to send you stuff. And this particular bloke, Dwayne, he's got a channel, Jack Pine Savage, I think it's called. I think that's how you say it. Forgive me, mate, if it's not. But he went out of his way and sent me a package over. Had beer coolers and stickers, and he sent me this beautiful manual for the V8 forwards, the side valves that we're playing with. And he didn't have to do that. I didn't ask him, nor did I give him any money. It's just next level stuff from blokes that I've never met, I don't know. But you go from terrible comments to wonderful blokes like this. So thank you, mate, and it's just amazing. And I have used it already, and not for the rebuild because that's getting pulled down, but just information on the other ones here behind me. And then another one is Pete, mate. I feel like I'm close to him, but I've never met you. But I'd give him a shout out because he's a good channel. Two, he gave me a shout out. He was meant to sort of try and collaborate with when Jeffrey came over from Wisconsin. Jeffrey from Old American Iron. Pete was trying to get here at the same time, but he had other commitments. And then we met up with Dave. So there was going to be 4 of us, but he couldn't come. But I gave him a shout out to try and get a few of you over to have a look at what he can do. He's a very handy bloke with tools and anything like that. He rebuilds transmissions and any of that sort of stuff. So if you can go over and have a look at him. But I was trying to push a few of you over there so he was trying to reach that 1,000 mark, which is a milestone. It means you can get monetised and all that sort of stuff. But he since exceeded that, so well done, mate. And anyway, go and check him out. He's got a lot of good stuff up there in Northern Australia. So with saying that, we're going to get to working on the Chamberlain now. The reason I'm not doing it in front of it because the sun's belting down. On one side the camera's recording too dark, on the other side it's in my eyes, I can't see. So you can see it behind the Triton here. I've had the transmission, so it went under the floods, and I think it went under a bit higher than what I was told, but he wouldn't have known how high because I don't think he would have been able to get in there when it was flooding. So for those of you who've seen the episode with the Zeta, you might be able to see her just to the side there. It went right under. I think it went under twice. Anyway, I've got it going, so if you haven't seen that, go back and have a look. But I think all he's done is drain the engines, but the transmissions and the injector pumps and everything were left full. So took the injectors out of the Zeta and blew the cylinders out. I got a lot of comments saying it was hydraulic lock, but it wasn't. The starter was corroded and the brushes were held out off the internal, so that it wasn't. I think 2 of them were touching, so I just had no torque at all. It wasn't hydraulic, and for those of you who keep commenting about that, cylinders were blown out and filled with ATF just to free them up, which did save it. Injector pump was all full of rust, I end up freeing all that up, and it's now going. I've changed all the oil, so it's, apart from the lift, I haven't tried the 3-point lift at the moment. I think it was just clogged up with yogurt. The oil was that terrible in it. So I think he's drained the engine sumps, but nothing else. So the Chamberlain's been sitting the last week with the plugs all out of it. I think I might be able to scrape enough oil up to fill it up, and we may be able to have a drive of that. But I did fill a bit of it with some diesel and kerosene type mix I had there, just to flush the bearings around, and drove it around, and it's all working pretty good. It's got a bit of a noise in it, which you expect from something that's been underwater, like a rust on a bearing, I guess. So it's been draining the last week. The output, it's got a live, well, it's got 2 shafts coming out of the main box. One goes to your transmission, and one's a shaft going right through to the power takeoff. So it can be used in and out of gear. So that seal on that shaft was leaking, on that PTO shaft. As soon as I tried to top the box up, it just pushed a heap of water out of that seal. So there was none in it. It would have leaked itself. So I've got that seal, and then one on the auxiliary drive runs off where the fuel pump runs. There's an auxiliary drive going to the hydraulic pump, and it was actually hanging out, just rattling around on the shaft. So I've got 2 seals. We're going to put them in today, and we might start her up again and see if we can get enough oil in it to drive it. We may even, there's a bit of work we could do with it later. So that being said, let's get to it. May I just add to that quickly that there may not, I think there's the Ford V8 videos coming out before this. I'm just thinking aloud. Then there'll be this one. Unless there's any other pre-recorded, the videos may change over the next few weeks. See, I'm getting married here in October down the back of my place, and it's still a fair way off, but when you only get 1 day a week, it's only a matter of days, not weeks. So even if it's, I don't know, what is it, 14 weeks or something, it's only really given me 14 days to get the place ready. And I'm having a bucks party here in the shed too, well, something similar to that. And I've got a lot of work to do in here. I want to build a spit roast machine and clear all this stuff out, and we're going to have a bit of a shindig in here on the October long weekend probably. So I won't be able to focus as much on the tractors, but then again, sometimes I can't help myself and just got to start one up. So if I do that, I'll video it, but whatever I'm doing, I'll video anyway. It just may not be mechanical or driving videos, but for those of you loyal people, I'm sure you'll stick with me. Okay everyone, here she is, Chamberlain C670. Paid $1,000 for this. She did go under the floods, but it was worth every cent. It's probably maybe going could be a $6 grand tractor, but maybe not this one. She's got a few noises in the transmission and that from where it was, where the water had sat in it. As I said, the bloke only drained the engine, transmission, then I dropped the bungs out of all the compartments at the back, including the final drives, and they were all full of water still. So the tyres aren't real good. A few splits there, but I'll use those until they go. Then I'll sort something else out. Now I did have a brake locked up. Was that one there? Because those plates aren't sealed, so the water was higher than that. This one here didn't, but this one here did. So I had it jacked up with the wheel off for a week. That wheel was very heavy. Those wheel weights, just, if I'd have dropped that, it would have needed help to get that up with the forklift or something. So I had the wheel off for a week. I had a bit of SHS square section between the studs with a jack, probably a foot out from them, with weight on that, and I had the brake drum soaking in some spray. So I had weight on that for a week, and I come over every couple of nights and spray it, and it eventually let go. On the following Saturday I come down and put a bar in there and just give the drum a shock, and she let go. So I put the wheel back on and drove it down the back, and just it all seemed to free up. The brakes don't work real well yet, they're covered in rust, but I think they'll bed in. Was locked in gear when I got it. Again, just pulled that cover off. All the selectors they were rusted, but that happened before the flood, because he said he backed it up to change the implement and never drove it again because it couldn't come out of gear. So I don't know what happened. I just took the stick out and I just got a lever in there, and the linkages were tight, so I just lubed all them up and flicked it back into neutral, and she's worked good ever since. The clutch needs a bit of an adjustment. Power steering works great. Upholstery needs a bit of attention. She's got a bit of rust in the roof, but all in all, it's not a bad old machine. Both rear tyres have had it. Front tyres are here nor there. They're only four-wheel drive tyres by the look of it, but they're a lot cheaper than the back, whatever happens to those. Did have a forklift on it. Had a leaking cylinder. The bloke took it off, but he said when he mounted it, it was too low, so you load it up too much, it'd just bottom out and sit on the ground and wouldn't move. So, but these have got which a lot of tractors haven't, they've got a spring pack on the front end. A lot of tractors have just got a pin in the middle and they just oscillate from there. As I said, Chamberlain, built in Australia. These tractors, this particular one's Champion C670. It was produced between 1970 and 1975 here in Australia, Welsh pool. They used a Perkins engine. So for those of you not familiar with Perkins, or I did a video on a white superpower recently. It had a 6354 Perkins in it, which is the same engine as this but different bore size. So this is a 6306, 306 cubic inch, rated at 70 horsepower. 6354s were between 90 and 120 horsepower roughly. So they were used in trucks, tractors, marine, generator sets, pump sets, anything you could imagine they were powering. They were produced, well, the P6 was the first 6-cylinder Perkins. It was very early, probably 1950s. They were in old Fordson tractors and earlier trucks, old Dodge Qs and stuff like that. And then the 6354 was designed in 1950 but started production in 1961 right through to 1996. So there were over 1 million units produced in the UK alone, and they were made worldwide. So, and not only were they in the UK and Australia, they were powering stuff worldwide. They were just a really reliable, small, powerful diesel engine. They changed the bore sizes in these, I believe, to suit Massey Ferguson requirements, to suit the power they needed. Rather than derate them, I think they changed all the bore sizes, but again, I could be wrong about that, but that's what I believe. So they were made until 96, and then I think they got phased out by the Perkins phases. They were in the later model here in Australia, Accos and your later model trucks, obviously Massey Ferguson tractors and whatever else they were in, I don't know. Still generator sets, pump sets, all that sort of thing. Any industrial engine, they were good in. I have quite a lot of these engines here. I've got one in that white superpower. For those of you who didn't see the video, it's a blue white superpower over there. Jeffrey and I started that up. First time I've ever had it going. I've got one in the shed over there I bought to get an injection pump off for another one. I've got one in an Acco down the back. There's a lot of them here. I bought an Oliver tractor off the bloke down there. It's got a 6354 and Oliver 1800. I think they're rated at 90 horsepower in those. So yeah, there's a few through the bush here and laying about, and then all the other Perkins engines. I've got 3 cylinders, 6 cylinders, 4 cylinders. I haven't got a V8 one yet. I know blokes that do. 540 V8 Perkins, made around the same era. They use the CAV or Bosch pump, mount them upright like that, rotary style injection pump. Again, very reliable. So when I started this, it was stuck a little bit. We just grabbed the fan and end up sort of rocking it either way, and it was moving a little bit but tight. And then we put you can see the big nut on the front there. We put a spanner on that and just rocked her either way, and ended up getting a couple of full turns out of her. And then we went to hit it and found the starter was full of water, so I took that back cap off and all the water ran out of it. So I did a video of, well, that was part of the first video I was talking about rebuilding the the footage that I lost. So I rebuilt the starter in it and got the engine running, and then we pulled the back end apart and freed up the gear stick and the brake and everything, and washed it. And so that was a very good video. But if I ever find it, I'll share it with you still. But changed some filters, Japanese Sakuras. Serviced the engine. I haven't done the valve clearances yet. I think it needs it because she's got a bit of a rattle there. That was off it, which was a worry to me. That's just a flex pipe. I think they came out with that right from the inlet manifold through to the air cleaner. That was off. The exhaust pipe was open, but after I freed it up, it started like it was turned off the night before. Like, honestly, it just didn't. It wasn't even exciting. It was just, yes, that's how Perkins run, and none of us were surprised by any means. Being a 6-cylinder Perkins, it was fairly standard for them. So I think today what I'm going to do with it, put those seals in, as I say. I had to take the hydraulic pump off. There's a seal there. That's an auxiliary drive for could be an air compressor when they're in a truck, could be a pump like this, it could be a power steering pump, could be all sorts of stuff was mounted off those. So in this particular case, it's the hydraulic pump for these haven't got an internal lift in the transmission like most normal tractors do. These are brought out as a drawbar tractor, so I'm not sure if this was a bit of an afterthought. I mean, they did come out like it, but it was a bit of an afterthought by the look of it. So they got a hydraulic cylinder just running your 3-point linkage. So that pump is for your remotes here, and to run that lift. And if you get another tractor like this Cedar, she's all internal in the transmission, so all your lift on most tractors is under that cover under the seat there, and you got a belly pump inside the transmission, runs off the transmission oil, internal screen and filter and everything in those that runs it. And then this is, being a drawbar tractor, they don't have anything like that. Well, they do, because your remotes to run your plows and everything always have. They've got most drawbar tractors have got an external mounted hydraulic pump that I've dealt with. So power steering works fine. I think it even runs off that too. Pretty sure it does. I think it's the only pump on it. So I've had it all draining. Plenty of water in. I don't know that I've got enough oil here, but might have enough to scrape up and just old stuff I've got put in it, and then run it a bit and flush it all again, which it needs anyway. So the oil grade and all that doesn't really matter at the moment. It's more of a flush it and lubricate everything, and yeah, just look after it like that. So I don't, probably not something I'd use all the time. I've got a Zeta 6911 down there and a Massey Ferguson 165, which I use as our bigger tractors. Then we got the New Holland there, which we more use for bucket work. That's not mine, that one, but it's been here that long. We've sort of got full use of it because we look after it. The Zeta here, for those of you, I didn't finish a video on it. Since off camera, I've put an exhaust pipe on it because it had a bodgy one out underneath. I had that Australian made muffler there. I found that there's off a 408 Kenworth bottom radiator pipe. I found it at the steel bin at our workshop. I thought that's just the size I need. There's the drain there for the coolant when it was in the Kenworth. Works fantastic. I've drained all the oils out of this. It was full of water. I had the plugs out of this for about 2 weeks. After I drained it, I just let the last little bit drip onto the lawn down the back there. Haven't tried the lift on it. Won't be featuring too much more of this one unless I use it. But I just got it to a stage where it's going, and we could use it. I haven't tested the lift since I've had it running. That was last Saturday night, and then we ended up tucking into a fair bit of grog, so I wasn't getting on this or doing any more with it. When I did get these tractors, there's something I didn't show you. I got a For those of you who don't know, I've got a Clark, Michigan front end loader down the back. They come out, well, I think it's a 53C, I think. So they come out with 353 Detroits or Isuzu D500s, and when I bought it, you can skip this part if you just want Chamberlain footage. I'm just talking to you, those blokes who are interested. So when I bought the loader, it was going to scrap, and anyway, I ended up getting it for what the bloke was going to, what was going to cost him in acetylene and oxy to cut it up, and it was dusted. So I just honed the cylinders out and put her all back together, and we've moved hundreds of tonne with it since. But it's got a D500 Isuzu in it, and I ended up getting one the bloke had there out of an excavator. I'm not sure if it's a 6BB1 or a D500, but from what I've seen, they're exactly the same nearly. For those Isuzu blokes out there that know any different, please let me know, but I can't see a difference. So I got this. Apparently it was running, but I just hope it didn't go under the flood. So it was in an excavator. You can see the pumps on the back of it. But there will be a first start on this. I haven't even tried to wind it over. It could have been a waste of money, I don't know, but that old loader just gets hard to start, and she's got bad breath. It breathes heavy. But it runs, so there's certainly no rush to put this in. But if it does fail, I've got a good Isuzu engine to back that up. I really need to do something with it in case she has got water or something in it. Okay, so that's the Zeta, the Isuzu engine. Now we're going to work on the Chamberlain. So first things first, I might put that seal back in there, because she was throwing oil out of this shaft, as I said, and it's also dripping out of the governor cover here, diesel. So I'm going to fix one leak. It was throwing it everywhere, so I couldn't even find the diesel leak, so we'll do that. And then that shaft, as I told you, is about there, so we'll have to lay underneath her. Put that back in. Hopefully this seal's the right size, because it was a bit of an odd size when they measured it, because it was distorted and it was rattling around on the shaft. Sort of oval, and didn't give them a true reading there at the bearing place, but I don't think it'd be a specific Perkins part. It did have the outer flange on it to stop it going all the way in too, but feels a little bit loose to me. Not sure that's going to work at all. I guess we have to wait and see. Okay, so I put a bit of retaining compound around it. It was a bit loose. I mean, there was a little bit of interference fit, but it's not ideal. But a couple of reasons why it doesn't bother me. There's no pressure behind it. It's not going out an alley higher, and it's a 10-minute job to change if it does fail. And in that time, I'll look for the right one. It must be a Perkins part, because the seal shop, the measurements were either side of the one that I gave them. But I mean, this should work. Once that sets, it's a bit rough, but as I said, it's not going up the highway, not going out an alley higher. So 10-minute job to take this pump back off, really. So I'll put her all back together here. Got a flood mud settled down here. Jeez. Spend all them hours gurning it, you don't realise how much you miss when it's all hidden. Save your comments. Can you bother getting a hammer? think that was flush with the shaft. I may just knock her in a little bit more. Won't know till I get that pump on there. It's got one of these chain drives, which I think it was worn out. It come apart differently to what I would have liked it to have, but it's got a cover over it, so it can't go anywhere anyway. Tripod's sort of in the way of doing this, so it's a little bit more difficult than it should be. It's got 4 7/16 UNC bolts that hold it to the engine block. Seven 16th are either 5/8 or 11/16 heads, depending on who made them. And it's got a slight bit of play in those bolts, so we just got to get it so it's looking okay compared to this drive here. Probably on the lower side, but there is a bit of give in those drives. But probably like to get it a bit closer than that. Close enough is usually good enough on these old ones. Tolerances are way different to the newer stuff. And in most cases they're not working as much anymore either, depending on who you are and where you're at. So they may have been UNF. There they are. 7/16 UNF, tell a lie. So if any of you have got a machine with one of these 6-cylinder Perkins in it, whether it's a 306 or a 354 or any of them other ones, you've definitely got something big there, something powerful. So they weren't great in trucks, I believe. My family had them on timber. My grandfather had them both sides. The family had twin steer Acco trucks, they were made here in Australia, and you could get bloody, I don't know, 13 or 14 tonne on those, and you only got 120 horsepower bogey drive. And then you had 2 transmissions. They were mostly 5B3s when they had them in them. I've got one down the back, but it's single, just a 6-wheeler, single steer, so bogey drive. Those of you who have seen that, they weren't overly powerful in those, but just reliable, just keep chugging along all day. But when you get up in the twin steer trucks, and they still had them in them, they were fairly steady, I believe. Much before my time. I've only ever driven them for recreational use, I suppose. But good in tractors, eh? 120 horsepower unit. The tractor's fairly good. Okay. Huh? Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. It's not exactly right, but it's
better than one that was in it.
Nah, not into animals, eh?
You like that stuff.
Too much work. Okay, put this chain link on here. It's fairly bodgy, but it doesn't matter. As I said, there's a plastic cover that holds it all together. Okay, finally got the fiddly thing on. I didn't want to put you through that. I haven't had that much trouble since the old grandmother shit the bed. Now, this cover should hold it all together. Push these rubber. I must take the bloody bounce out of her. Even got a nipple on it there, look. I think she's going to need too much of that, but I'll have to align that where it can probably through here, yeah. So that'll have to face that way. Face that way, it's going to hit that plate and we'll be able to get a grease chuck onto it. Right, well that's that. Put all the pipe work back on it. Well, only one I think. Let's bring this back here a little bit. The sun's gone up now so I can readjust it all here. That's all good. which is all good there. Now I've got to lay underneath her and put the shaft back in it. Okay, we'll just spin you around, see if you can see this seal I was talking about here. There it is there, so that's on the lower side of the transmission. Okay, so this is the lower one I was talking about, the other one's just here out of view. This one drives the power takeoff. Because if you just relied on the I'll put a bit of goop on that actually. If you just relied on the tail shaft, it'd only spin when you're in gear. This seal's a little bit looser than I'd like it too. I don't know how the bloody shop measured them, but I have to put a bit of goop on it too. Okay, I'm just going to fill everything else up that I can while that seal, the compound goes off in that seal. I don't want to put the shaft in and have it push it out while it's drying, so I'll fill everything else up. Not many plugs and compartments in her. Sorry, I just went to move the camera and I've turned it off. Just going to show you there's still water coming out underneath here. Not heaps, but pushing a bit of milky stuff out still. That's why I don't care really about the grade I'm putting in it, just to run it round and drop it again. Have it all mix in. Still not great, but I'll do a bit with her and do it all again, I suppose. That one I can see right through. It didn't have much in it anyway. The main transmissions did. The diff and the main trans. I can see the oil level down, saying that's the plug there, but I can see down through the case there where that plug is, so without knocking that out I think that's going to be fine. Just a bit over on the diff. Not sure if it runs through into that other housing or not. It's gone right through into the front section of that gearbox. I didn't think it did, but it does. It's not ideal because stripping out of because it's a bit overfull, it's stripping out of the input seal, so that means that's buggered too, but I'd say when it's down on level it won't be at that, but it's still not right. So I may have to change that as well, but I mean it's going to do for today. I'll drive it around. If it doesn't take up, we'll definitely have to change it. Needs a breather on it. Only got one plug with a breather in it. There's two sections here. Okay, let's put that shaft in now, see if that seal holds. And there we go. Okay everyone, we're just going to move the Zeta out while we're working on the Chamberlain.
There's no button on it.
Dad's on her. This is me dad for everyone who hasn't met him. Say hello, Dad.
G'day, yeah, he's going, alright, good?
Yeah.
Good. Where's the button on it?
A few of you asked, is that me dad in some of the videos? Well, yes it is. This bloke here.
Okay, I really get it.
Hanging off that. How far down the pedal go? Yeah, that's it. See here, look. Got a bit of air in it, as you can see the fuel bowl. We just changed the gauze in that. That's all finished now, that one. I might have a few bits and pieces coming for it, but only cosmetic stuff. She all works. The 3-point linkage works, PTO, power steering. She's ready to use. We've got to clear all this stuff out. I'm having a bucks part in here, so I'm going to put another layer of this rotor mill, roll it all in, and as you can see, I've done it years ago, but all the dust is coming through the floor, so it was made to put another lift in there. As you can see, that shed there's a couple inch step there anyway. To tow the old Transtar out in these mowers, and some waste oil here I've got to get rid of. I'll fire the old Vibramax up and whack her all down. So back to the Chamberlain. Just got to fill the main trans now. You can see that drip underneath it there. That's coming out of the input of the rear axle. Okay everyone, she's just about ready. Before you say any comments about this, I've got one on order. You can see it's flex pipe right from, as I said before, it was rotted off outside here, so I've got this bit of intercooler charge pipe here. It's a lot bigger, but the duct tape, and what we're about to do with it is, it's not dusty conditions, but it's just safe. So I've taped it in there and out here, so hold your comments because I don't care what you say about it. I think that's nearly it. I've got a filter in there. I've just got to tighten that bolt. It was missing. Filter's not the best. I just blew the dust out of it. I don't know if it's been soaked. I'd say it was in water. Bit of a makeshift bolt here because it was missing, but it'll do the job. And we'll start her up. Hadn't been going for a couple of weeks, but all I've been getting parts for it. Just get another spanner for that, Tim. Okay, that'll do it. That bowl's clamp's all bent. It's my dog Bevy, look. Camera mate. This is the one that's left after Roger. She's changed since she left. Since he was killed. used to be here together all the time, but she didn't like appearing on camera like he did, but had her 12 months longer than him. She's a Staffy cross Kelpie. Had her about 12 years. Oh, probably 11. Look at the camera, mate. You don't see her much. You see her running around, but no. Okay, run. Let's see if she goes now. She's out of gear. Stopper's in. Oil and cooling are right. I've got across the starter. You can see me. How many engines I've started with that over the years. It's all burnt off, especially 24 volt stuff. It just blows the end off them. So here we go. We'll give her a try. There's the batteries. Help if the lead was on. Always keep the leads off old things here in case they catch a lighter in it. Across that solenoid. You've got to throw the solenoid in with one and then cross the contacts with the other. See that diesel leak coming off the governor housing there. Looks like this seal's held up. It'll do till we get the right one anyway. I have to get a top end kit one of those pumps. It's pretty cheap. Just fiddly to do. My daughter's decided she wanted to come with us. These have got high and low range. High, medium, intermediate and low. 3-speed transmissions, they equal 9 gears. Look, clutch is still a bit jerky. Put her in intermediate. The door. Can you reach it? Grab the handle. Watch your handle, Sam. Alright. goes. Oh, takes a sticky. Okay, we're just down the back. I'll finish this video here. As you can see, I've just got a bench seat, this one, so I brought a bit of a snack pack here. Lovely and cold, straight out of the fridge. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. I'm getting married down here, so we're just going to make some plans here. We're going to fall that tree. That'll be another episode. Just clear some room. That tree's actually rotten up the middle of it. You probably can't see it from here, but there's a big marquee going there. And the Chamberlain, you could hear the transmission. She's very noisy, but it's only, I put some 15W40 in it, some old engine oil I had here. Well, it's not old, it's still fresh, but it's been in the drum for a long time. It's a brand that I refuse to use in any engines. But I'm not going to knock anyone on here. I'm not going to say who that was. So we can either re-race it, pull it out, put some bearings in it, or I can just get some 85 140 and put in it and try and quieten it down, because last time I had I don't know, I think I only had S30 and it was a lot quieter than the 15W40, which I don't know why, because it's a similar grade to when it's cold, but I'd rather try the gear oil and rebuild it. If I take all the noises out of everything I own, I'd have to live to be 300. So that's about it there. So when you're sailing down the hill, it all goes quiet, it becomes brand new then, and as she starts to level out and go up the other side, she seems to get older and older, and the noises come back into her. So when there's no weight on it, it's fine. So it's got to be a bearing. And then I've rebuilt one before in another C670, but that was just before I started YouTube, and so you wouldn't have seen that. done a clutch and a rear main and a front seal and the transmission, and for that zoo that I do a bit for, or the wildlife retreat, whatever they want to call it over there. So again everyone, please contact me, private message on Facebook. Quite a lot of you are doing that now. A couple of you sent me something now. There's a bloke that he's posting over a parts and operators menu for a HD9 Alice Chalmers that you see me start up, so that's just magnificent that people think like that. There's some really helpful people out there, so private message on Facebook if you'd like. And some merch still available. That helps us, only not by financial, but by just, it's like wearing a business card. People ask about it and maybe want to come and have a look. So thanks again everyone. Please share this. A lot of you do. Please share it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and tell everyone that may be interested. Let's try and help me grow this so we can maybe get some time to ourselves to do some of these bigger jobs. Thanks very much for watching.